Dear listeners, welcome to the second episode of podcast series Big Data, Big Challenges and Big Real Success. My name is Anna Przybył and I will host this podcast for you. Speaking from a business perspective, I will ask my guests, experts in the data and AI field, questions and they will share their insights, real-world challenges and professional experiences. So, I hope it will provide great knowledge from different perspectives. These podcasts are made possible thanks to the boutique company Sofixit, which specializes in data and AI-related projects, services and solutions such as data lakes and data lakehouses. Sofixit is well known also for their non-profit initiatives which have a positive impact for all industry. So it's really worth following their LinkedIn channel. And today our special guest is Paweł Zieliński. Hello, Paweł.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for coming. Please tell us a few words about you and your professional experience.
Well, currently I'm working as a head of data and analytics in Dunapak Packaging, part of Princeton Holding. However, my background is more financial and organizational than technical. For many years, I used to work as a CFO in, packaging companies. However, my interests were always very close to data and IT as key elements supporting controlling activity. In Dunapak, I focused totally on data and analytic part. So right now I'm working together with CFO on development of information platform in Dunapak Packaging.
Thank you very much for such a nice presentation of your person. Well, I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about data today with you. So, if we may start, I'm really curious, what exactly does digital transformation mean today and why should organizations care?
Well, digital transformation is often mistakenly treated as technology introduced in the companies. That's part of the process, but I would say not more than half of the process. Digital transformation is much more. It is, in fact, a cultural transformation. It's about shifting the structures in organization and also defining strategic goals. Organizations, of course, may implement digital functionalities on many fields, and as most of the organization are really looking on the results, profits, they naturally looking for those elements of influencing competitiveness, influencing productivity, purely profitability, which can be improved because of changes digitalization, understood not only as application of technology, but also upskilling of the personnel and first of all creating certain awareness among the organization. But as I said, organizations are focused on the strategic goals, but also benefiting wealth of shareholders. So whatever is in the scope of digital transformation must be translated into real financial or non-financial benefit impacting the wealth of shareholders.
Right, but how to start? How can organization begin or effectively manage a digital transformation initiative?
Well, from what I say so far, it's never easy because if I can think about ideal world, how such ideal organization should do that, I would say first involve leaders. first involved management, because management are supposed to identify those elements which are the most impacting results, which are contributing strategic goals, which are top priority for organization, and even most importantly, managers and leaders can foster organizational culture change in order to, well, empower employees, which in fact means train, develop, prepare them for using all these digital elements, which are, on the other hand, delivered as a technology part to this equation. So in other words, to be able maximize effectiveness of using delivered technicals by the organization. It's also important to remember that this is not one-off project. Never. This is never-ending process of digitalization. And this is not only, taking piece by piece of area by area development. We repeating trainings, we upskilling our people, we empowering them for using those technicals. Each time we can aim in a higher level, starting from very basics and finally reaching quite complex targets and development of the people, leaders, or even having these technology ambassadors or champions among the organization, of course, in certain positive meaning, because, well, it can be also dangerous in some cases if only a limited number of people are involved in the change, and upskilling may lead to growing distance between level of those leaders in digital change and all the rest, which immediately can bring negative results.
Well, Paweł, so do you believe that the solution can be just educating everyone within the organization how to use AI and how to use data effectively, to just make this gap not so wide?
Yes. In fact, such a program should be treated as something which is very often called data literacy, because it is ability to speak the, I'm not saying digital language, but ability to use, ability to understand, and not only mechanical use of dashboard searches and these analytical elements, somehow providing answers or providing hints based on the data, but also a full understanding why we do that and why we do it in this way.
I can see it. So it's not so easy as you've said. So what are common pitfalls in digital transformation projects, and how can companies avoid them if it's possible, of course?
What can I say? People are afraid what they don't know. So even if we are not planning highly educate literally everyone in organization regarding using of these analytical tools, we need to make it clearly communicated and transparent to everyone, because people may not only afraid of using tools, may feel a fear of being redundant or being somehow endangered or about to be replaced by certain pieces of technology. And frankly, right now, in many cases, we are not talking about the replacement. We are talking about the redefinition of the roles, more effective using of human power, human brains, by cutting off those elements which can be taken over by technology right now, and of course pushing human brains for more effective actions. Very dangerous is also thinking or organizing work in isolation, in silos. Well, in communication world, there is no place for such setup. It must be clear and effective communication, or there will be certainly no progress. Plus, and this one is not different to any other project, we need to have a plan, we need to have a roadmap, we need to know where we go, what we want to achieve. So of course, I always advise to focus 90% of the next step, so what you about to do next, but still have this 10% about I don't know, 10 or 20 another steps or even strategic goals. Because, of course, next step is something which decides about the success of every further steps. So let's be focused. Let's do step by step. This is very close to certain, agile mindset, focus on the next step. And I must say, it works very well for digital transformation.
So small steps that you are aiming at some certain point yet, but step by step, not like everything at once.
Yes, and of course, agility is, I believe, a very useful approach in digital transformation, because we may have our long-term goals or define steps for next 3 years, but outcome of every step which we are undertaking right now may push us to redefine. To the conclusion might be that that's not exactly what we thought it is, so we need to change and adapt. So this adaptation is very important, because after every step we make progress, and we need this reflection whether we are where we wanted to be, or what went well, what went not so well. And having long-term goals is absolutely necessary for success. However, we can't blindly keep a long-term plan. We need to have reflection after each step, sometimes even during the step, if our action makes sense and brings results which are expected by organization.
So, Paweł, if we know the goal, if we know what's our journey, yeah, we can think about what truly characterizes a truly data-driven organization. So, how to reach this aim that we are aiming.
I know that there are very sophisticated study about data-driven organizations and elements, and of course, how to get there. Shortly, I would pick from this characteristic first, really data-driven decision making. Traditionally, organizations rely on experience of the people, experience of managers, but also experience of department. And this knowledge this knowledge retention is in procedures, in recipes, in methodology. And now data-driven organization provides something which first go parallelly to these experiences, which offers models which are capable to support decision making. And of course, the key word is trust, because only if you trust those models, you can undertake decisions based on those models. So if I would tell when we reach the level of data-driven organization, it would be moment when we start trusting models and following decisions based on data and analytics instead of intuition, instead of experience only. I'm not saying that experience are to be cut off or something, so get rid. No, no, never. It's rather how to embed this experience inside the models, because this is not only supporting the models, this is also part of the knowledge retention, because there is fluctuation of people in the organization, but models stay. And those experience which can be lost with fluctuation of employees can stay to some extent, of course, inside the properly trained and properly prepared model. Another element which is a must for data-driven organization is very strong governance. This is, of course, connected with the trust, because without governance, we do not have quality. Without quality, we do not have trust. So everything, I think, is somehow around the trust. And this is, I think, the essence. I saw studies from Big Four, particularly KPMG got very interesting studies about data-driven organization elements and many aspects of this digital transformation. But with my natural tendency to simplify things, I would say decision making based on data and literacy, governance, which define the culture in organization. So this is the moment when it's natural for employees, for people in organization, to trust recommendations from the models, from the dashboard. This is nothing extraordinary. This is something we naturally get, we understand, it's clearly communicated, and it's finally part of the natural behavior. And this is the moment we can start thinking about a data-driven organization.
It seems to be not so easy as I thought it would be. So, well, when we come to the basic points, yeah, what can be the critical steps, like the small steps to become a data-driven organizations? Because probably you have some advice. How can we just reach this goal?
Well, I think that we mentioned here that before that leadership and clear vision.
Mhm. Yes, exactly.
It's a must, because organization must have this sense of urgency, that the reason to change, and that reason, of course, must also be translatable into very money measured results. So nobody is going to change or digitally change organization just because this is a market trend. There is always this necessity coming from customers' expectations, from competitiveness on the market, from productivity and effectiveness of using teams and equipment and any other assets. So
It's some kind of a trigger, yeah, to start this kind of changes.
yes, standard behavior of organization is not going to trigger that, because this is major change. So this change is not coming from thinking of continuous improvement. Like electricity is not continuous improvement of candles. This is major change. And this major change, of course, must be supported by clear vision of management, and also spread over this organization in the form of, we already mentioned literacy, which makes people understand why we start using electricity instead of candles.
A lot of awareness here, as I see, and talking and teaching and
Absolutely. Other elements like data infrastructure, capabilities, of course, it's a must. But from my experience, it looks that technical part of such a transformation is easier. We have around a lot of useful technologies, sometimes even developing and changing so fast, too fast. Uh, but with every step, every year, every month being more friendly and easier to be adopted in the organization. What is not easy part is to prepare organization to get it on board, and that's why so continuous education, promotion of data literacy. This is even not critical step. This is like critical process. The same with vision, because it cannot be one vision. It needs to be vision somehow managed based on our achievements, based on very frequently changing needs. So definitively, it's not a project. It's just element of organizational culture. It's an element of strategy. It's vital element of organization. So it cannot be treated separately anymore from any other organization activity, like I don't know, accounting, production, sales activity. Yes, we have also analytical activity, data activity, because we produce so many data. And if we want to use them effectively for the benefit of the organization, well, it's necessary to have a part of organization which is in charge, and the other part organization understands why we are doing that.
yeah, exactly. And as you've said, it's not like a sprint; it's like a marathon. Yes, so
Absolutely.
it's a long process.
Yep. And this is something what I even remember from one presentation slide from KPMG. They call it even literally the digital change marathon or something like that, because they also presented results from Gartner showing the percentage that lots of organization collects data. Some of organization even organizing those data, some other visualize those data, but well, less and less percentage of organization is such advanced. But the last mile of the marathon is really having a benefit, is monetizing of this data. And this is not only monetizing of this data, this is also using effectively of information, because value of the information, value of the insights coming from your data process is drastically falling down in time. So if you are able to decide on time, immediately, in real time, sometimes even predict things, that provides value. That is really a valuable insight you can get. Well, I'm not saying that historical data are useless, because you can learn a lot from them, but the real value is coming from immediate action based on real-time information, real-time data.
Yeah, and we know, yeah, the value of data. We know that it's critical, yeah, and it's important for us to work to make critical decisions and good ones, good decisions. So why do some organizations fail, to make effective use of their data even after significant investment? Why is it so?
I think the most important reason, or the main reason, might be treating technology over people. Because today we discussed like two elements, and it looks to me that, you know, 70 or 80% of our discussion is about the organization, not about technology. And of course, in real life, I think it's rather balanced, because you need to have a solid platform, so solid technical setup, and that's not so easy to get. However, I believe much easier. And the mistake can be to treat technology as your development marker. You may have a perfectly set up information system, but still fail. You need to develop both. Correct development of your technology is necessary to create trust and correct data literacy and understanding. But both elements must be delivered. Of course, there is a kind of resistance inside of organization. I already, well, named that as a fear from unknown. So first, of course, if the company is not busting all myths, it may contribute such a failure. In order to succeed, we need to have a clear and effective communication. So not only announcing what we do and why, but making sure that we are not losing our audience, that members of our organization really understand the reasons and understands the expected outcomes. Because as we said, they may be afraid not of technology, but be afraid of the organizational outcome after adopting certain technology. What will be my place in this organization if I am so heavily supported by technology and analytics? Well, that's common fear.
If I may interrupt you, because it really makes me curious. How can we just lower this fear of unknown, of technology, of data, driven decisions? And
I don't think that there is one answer or golden pill you can take and cure that trouble in organization, but certainly it is transparency and communication, and also onboarding, dragging in people who may feel afraid, sometimes even buying them in by showing how much more they can achieve with this technology, and softly pushing from focus on very hard work, which can be done by digital element of our transformation, to this part of work which still requires a human element. We used to say that leave data processing to machines. They are much faster, better, and we humans got no match with that. Analyzing, taking insights, supporting or undertaking decision is still a human domain. Of course, our models can be developed to support such decision taking, to reach this I'm not saying mythical, but last point of development of AI and data modeling in the organization is this prescriptive analytics. So this analytics which tells you not what happened, because we know that, not why that happened. It's also not where we are, what should we do? This prescriptive part is, of course, something which is not created from nothing. It's nothing else but retaining the company knowledge, which is nothing else but the knowledge and experience of the people in this organization, and making that useful for this organization. Because again, such a models can act quicker, can retain knowledge, and can leave the time for analysis, can leave the time for strategies, can leave the time for activities which are still domain of the humans, and replace, that's very bad words not to be used in the organization speeches, replace human activity in area of data processing. That's why I told you, this soft pushing, by showing them that they actually can increase the comfort of their work. They can increase the customer satisfaction. They can increase their own comfort, achieving certain goals faster and with better quality. So I think this slow buy-in would be my choice if I'm supposed to advise. Of course, there are different methods as well. Such a change can be managed very directive. Yeah, well, my advice is soft power.
Yeah, well, I think that it's a great advice, and actually it can work. Yeah, making people more aware and more involved, and in other activities, showing them how it works. And when we look at the place of people, yeah, as you've said, in the organization that is data driven, there is also a question about the role and place of analytics in organizations. So, how is this role changing within modern businesses?
The human domain versus automatic or digital domain border is moving. It's been shifted significantly over last year. Right now, analytics become a vital part of the organization. I can remember my very beginning in controlling role. It was still in prior century. And it was natural that the controller is the one who is capable to extract, process data, provide summaries, and provide insights out of this data. Not anymore, because we believe that right now, considering the technology and analytic power we have, this is simple waste of time and resources, because our controllers can be, again, bad word, utilized in much more effective way. Because inside of the organization, there are complex processes. And if the calculations, data collections is done automatically, they can spend their time on processes which are causing certain, sometimes irregularities, sometimes inefficiencies, not data crunching or maneuvering in spreadsheets, because that can be totally left to our machine friends. Our AI assistants can certainly do that quicker, better, faster, without mistakes. I don't see any trouble with that. But the real life, real process inside of the organization can benefit from more time, more focus, more time to not only analyze, but also sometimes ask the very simple question, why we do it in this way. And very often answer is because we do that, well, from ancient time, yeah, for last 10 years, since I remember. And if you move this digital part away, you free time of creative people who knows the processes, who knows the dependencies to really make a change in organization. So that's, let's say, element one regarding place of the analytics. And the second, we already, I think, defined, because when we talk about data-driven organization, analytics is about to take over maybe not the steering wheel, but certainly be able to be, if not autopilot, it can be your, I don't know, your guide. It can provide directions. And that is data-driven organization. So data-driven organization is not managed by AI yet. I think one day in the future it may change, but that's still not now. But the insights created and provided by analytics can be immediately used for increase of market competitiveness of organization, and as such are having very important place inside of the organization. 20 years ago, very rarely you had something like the data and analytics teams. It was either part of controlling or part of IT, and nobody cared. Right now, we can hear about companies which already creating position of chief analytical officer, someone who is in charge of data processing, because this data processing creates the insights which drive the organization. The gravity of the output is, sorry to say, equal like finance, because of course financial results are the ultimate goal and the contribution to shareholder expectations. But on other hand, insights from data is a hint, is a direction provided to organization management to support, generally managing the organization, defining strategy and tactics of organization. So, to answer your question about the role, it's exploding. It's something what came from controlling finance, IT, to really part of organization, which right now you cannot even think that you can exist without. So the role is growing, and that's why I am personally so very much excited about this change. And I'm making sure that our organization is receiving the best what they can out of the informations.
Yes, and here comes the question, actually, where should analytics teams be positioned within an organization for maximum impact? You've said about the chief analytics officer, yeah, but there are also now big teams created. And where should they be, Should they be far away from business? Should they be, working only in their team? Or, yeah, how do you see it?
That's paradoxically an easy question. Creating data and analytics department immediately creates a risk. Creates risk, which we already mentioned, creating certain silo of the people who understands information very well and may share or may not share some insight with the rest of the organization. Not having this department create even bigger risk, because information is not processed in correct way. So I think that we need a data and analytics department, but we need to also make sure that such department got very limited own agenda, and it is really a service department, cross-function. In order to that model work effectively, you must have partners for such data and analytic departments on the business side, because it's very dangerous to create out of data and analytic people business specialists. So even they are business specialists, usually they are. It must be always a kind of a dialogue. We may say that we have, that's why we need a strong governance, because in the strong governance, it's a clear split between data ownership and data stewardship. Ownership means responsibility for content. Not saying that this responsibility is on the one person. It might be department, it might be a certain central function, business partner. Depends on the organization, depends on the topic. Important is that it's not analytical department who dictates what kind of information, insights, or visualizations are created. We are providing data quality. We are data stewards in data and analytics departments. We are making sure that agenda of other departments is fully supported by data and analytics. So, answering your question, it must be very strong department pursuing perfection in terms of data processing quality, in the same time working closely together, cross-functional with literally every other department. So uneasy to place. This is also, I think, unique function, because accounting reflects processes in the organization. Finances, yes, also it's a mirror of the organization. Data and analytics must be more than the mirror, must be living support and effects in exchange of the insights, exchange of the direction. It's the biggest, I think, danger is having data analytics isolated. So the place must be among other departments.
So even if they work sometimes in their own team on data, they have to be close to other departments. That's the answer, your answer.
Absolutely, because of course, sales or other departments, they have also they own analytics, but they must be our best friends. They must be even part of some central data and analytic organization. Even in data governance, few concept of that, but for me, in fact, only one exists. This federation model is something which I think ideally reflects the coordination on one hand ensuring data quality, but in the same time also providing to the user what they want. Usually it cannot work together, because you can't get what you want in the same time we can't ensure the data quality. But we must try. We must, on one hand, provide an answer the user need. On other hand, keeping very strict control over the data quality. And users or non-data department must be involved, because they are owners of the data, and they must feel the ownership. They not only be proud of being the data owners, but also act as owners. So taking care about the source processes, taking care about the measures definition, taking care about even the way of visualization, making sure that what is coming out from analytical tools is exactly what they need to undertake quick and right decisions.
Okay, and Sometimes people say that data is now like the oil. So if we think about the businesses, they pay attention to the value the data gives. So, what types of analytics are currently driving the most significant value for business? How do you see it?
If we look at, I think, the traditional steps of data and analytics evolution, so starting from, only descriptive analytics. So, of course, it exists. And it would be unfair to say that it's useless. But as we already said, the real value is in current crazy speed driving world in the time. So, well, the same information or the same insights got absolutely different value if it is coming this morning or this evening. This morning can be still potentially used and turned into money making action or added value making action. If it's coming this evening, it can be useless because it might be, of course, well, important to know, good to know, but too late to make the difference. So I think that we are on our way to create or to use maybe, well, real time is sometimes too big word because for well, normal business, it's real time is just from the same day. Well, it's not really every second, but there are, of course, organizations where every second matters. But well, we are talking about well, entire life. I'm working for production companies, and I have on mind organization. I have on mind organization which produce and sell. So industry. In sense of industry, the meaning of the real time is also specifically defined. But nevertheless, it's about real time information. And real time information, it's about analytics which telling us what is happening. Yeah, what is happening now. And of course, the holy grail of analytics is one step further, is to immediately provide the hint, what should we do, this magic prescriptive analytics. And of course, this must be supported by advanced models. Usually, simple statistics is not sufficient. You need a bit more out of from AI fields to really think seriously about such advices. What should we do? Because the number of variables which are supposed to be taken into consideration is rapidly growing, because this is if you compare, yeah, well, the descriptive analytics telling you what was the main factor impacting certain change. Yeah, cool. But what should we do to reverse the trend? I mean, well, that's completely different question. And of course, analytics, advanced analytics can support such attempts, but certainly not immediately. You need to work on these models for years. But well, answering on your question, here is the value.
Exactly. Of course, when we take decisions, we must trust, as you've said before. So, probably the main problems come with effective use of data, yeah, and information. So, if you were to say what are the main barriers organizations face when attempting to leverage data effectively, what would it be?
Poor quality and governance, because that constellation will never ever create a trust which is absolutely must have condition for any further the evolution steps. So with poor quality of data, you do not have a chance to buy in. Your best prepared and the most transparent communication also makes no sense, because people very quickly are going to discover that well, there are bullshit numbers and you cannot do anything out of that. So they need to go back to the old ways, because they trust the old ways, they trust their experience, they trust their intuition. And this is exactly opposite way we want to create with the data-driven organization, or with the, let's say, organization supported significantly by analytics. So this is absolutely must. And sometimes it is not about data analytics department to increase quality of data. Unfortunately, very often it requires much broader action, because data are created during processes. If do not have processes standardized, if you do not have properly managed metadata, master data, no matter how good system you build or how smart AI you have, well, this is physically impossible to get something valuable out of that. So certain governance and discipline, even before processing data. So in the systems which supports the processes and creates data during processes, is absolutely necessary. So these are like very, very basics. If you do not have settled that, it makes absolutely no sense even to try to somehow collect those data and do something about it. The other barriers, of course, we mentioned the organization silos, lack of the exchange of information, and gaps in data literacy. Finally, you need to obtain for organization or train internally analytical talents, because there must be people who are doing those advanced analytics for you. So, well, this is like extra element in organization. We mentioned that we have something like data and analytics department team right now, but you must build the skills in the team.
As you've said, yeah, it's something new, yeah, it's something that we should do within our organization, and probably it's not so easy to work and to give this knowledge to these people, yeah, but as I see, it's quite important on every level and in each department, yeah, to know how to work with data.
Well, absolutely. That's something new. And data and analytics team must be mm, composed, well, with the people which are open for new role. Not only open, actively searching for new things. For such characters, there is very rarely something like the comfort zone, because the tool sets, the analytical methods, on one hand, the statistical bases are unchanged for years. On the other hand, the tools which we had in our hands, including this well, technology and the speed of computing, requires from us in data and analytics team constant learning. If we want to keep our organization provided with the best in class solutions, with the really best service, we must treat learning as one of our daily tasks. That's not something done quarterly. This is daily task to stay tuned on changes, to make sure that we have radar effectively capturing all the changes around.
Paweł, And how can organizations effectively address and solve data governance and quality issues?
Well, that is something what organization must do. Of course, governance and quality theoretically very much connected is like super important from the very opening of transformation, because without the quality you are unable to make the further steps. So it is very much dependent on the status of data in organization. It depends on the fact if you have system constellation inside of organization more homogeneous, or it's created out of many elements, so you need bridges, translation, interfaces, and things like that. So to manage quality from the very beginning, you must involve technology, because the problems within data, even if they are not appear at the first glance, can be detected by quality checks embedded in data processing. So, of course, I'm oversimplifying here, because I'm telling that under the assumptions then in the source system and the process which generates those data is fine. So, assuming that our input is fine, we are addressing the quality inside of information system, inside of data processing system. But of course, if that condition is not met, before we do anything, we must go step before and sort out the systems which are providing data to our information system, to our analytics system. Governance is equally important, but I'm not saying that it can wait. But strict governance framework is very difficult to be defined during transformation. During transformation, once you have constant development of your information processing, changes and adaptations, of course, this governance we always should keep in mind. But at certain moment, at the first sign of stability of your information systems, we need to come back to the governance and provide framework to data processing from the very beginning, from the moment the data is registered, is born in the process, in the business process which creates those data, until the insights based on analytics and created by our models or algorithms is consumed by our users. And this framework assumes very important roles. And it is not very much different like in other aspects of company actions. It's a 4I principle. So you must have a role which is responsible for content, for definition of the data, and the other role which take care about quality, about implementation of the rules defined by someone else. Combining these rules is simply not acceptable. You can't do that, because you are exposing company to the risk, sometimes misusing, but more often just rapidly decreasing quality of your data. Because if the same person define the measure and implement the measure, definition of the measure can be influenced by ability or how difficult is to implement, and vice versa. Having some cool features in implementation may create unnecessary measures because they just look good. So these four I principle is usually necessary when you have a potential conflict of interest. Here, maybe this conflict of interest is not so obvious, but it exists because, yes, both data owners and data stewards taking care about the systems and processing are going hand with hand in the same direction, but focusing on data processing is sometimes creating ideas for, well, business side, which normally would not be created because business wise makes no sense. And we are commercial companies. We are not supposed to do anything which makes no sense. So, of course, there is always a trade-off, right? Because if certain extra step on the business side can significantly improve the quality of the data, then that's another story. So this is not a black and white definition, but this separation in governance is absolutely necessary, and it must be natural. In other words, it must be part of the company culture. So no one should be somehow surprised that, well, the ownership or the responsibility of data is requested. The influence of culture should create already this awareness that, yes, this is my data. I'm in charge of business content, and I expect out of this data, combined with some other data and some advanced analytics, I expect some feedback or the information from analytical system, which will make my life easier or decision faster or more accurate. And that also makes it clear why I need to take care of my data, because that the processing part can create out of good quality data even more valuable insight, which I can use for benefit of my, I don't know, business position, company, doesn't matter which level consume those data. So again, the answer is framework. The answer is culture, and the answer is technology in terms of data quality and in terms of implementation of this framework.
Paweł, you are a real expert in data. So, if you had to give one piece of advice to an organization embarking on digital transformation and data analytics, what would it be?
I would say 3. So, clear goals and leadership commitment. Commitment which is based on deep understanding of the insights, because only combination of those two elements can convince organization and can trigger organization to do the first step, to initiate action. Once we initiated our action by defining clear goals and having a full leadership commitment, make sure that we focus equally on people and technology, because what we are targeting is not only new reporting system displaying colorful graphs on the walls, or having a cool connection to the presentation. It's also change of the mindset of the user, building trust to the analytical outcomes, and of course reducing fear from this technological change. So all of that I would summarize as focus on people. Do not forget about technology. Make it equal. And final advice is about the agility. So be agile. Continuously learn, adapt, and repeat. And it is not contradiction number one. So clear goal and long-term strategy is absolutely necessary, but realization, well, sometimes provides unexpected outcome, and based on that you need to redefine your next step, you need to redefine your assumptions, and do not be afraid. Well, this is what it is, and it makes absolutely no sense to focus blindly to the strategy which we decide some time ago. Sometimes it will be even necessary to redefine what is priority in our strategy, and just do it. So during this digital change, well, try, test, fail quick, be agile, and adaptation is also magic word, because it's not always analytics must be adapted to the business process. Sometimes the insight, the advice created by analytics can be translated to redefinition of the process which we had in place for last 20 years. Consider that this is possible. Those 3 points.
Thank you very much, Paweł, for this great advice. And well, as we are coming to the end of our today's conversation, I have just one more question. Which trends in big data and AI do you consider most important in the coming years?
Oh, this concept of AI agents right now, created in various form, but let me quickly explain what I have on my mind. If the model is for everything, the model is for nothing. So ability of giving user chance to relatively easy and quickly create their own models, agents, supporting elements of the sometimes the process change, decision change, just model supporting, I don't know, commenting of the financial results. Doesn't matter what matters to me is that is I think very good idea to provide a chance to create such models, such agents, and connect to your business content, connect to your data. Of course, this connection can be via copilots or any other AI models, but companies are not really ready to use the open models. On other hands, creating that generic model for certain business of the company, well, that's a big challenge. And this concept of this modularity in terms of creating of your best friend agents, you can teach how to interpret KPIs on your cash flow. That's something which I find very interesting.
It sounds great. And yeah, probably AI agents are going to be the trend of 2025, as a lot of specialists says. But what you say is actually the idea of having the agents close to business, yeah, that everyone can create such an agent for themselves, yeah, for their own purposes. And I believe that it's a really nice idea because it shows that this data and these tools that we've already have can work for us, and actually every one of us can incorporate them into our everyday work. Well, Paweł, thank you sincerely for sharing all these valuable insights and experience with us today. Dear listeners, thank you for all of you also for tuning in to From Data to Decisions, the effective path to an analytics driven organization. We invite you to join us for upcoming episodes full of fascinating discussions and the intersection of business and technology. Paweł, once again, thank you very much and see you soon. Bye bye.
Pleasure. Thank you.